you haven't been to the Pine Cone in Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, you don't know what you're doing in life. They're right tough.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of skipping the Pine Cone.
The Pine Cone at the 267 off of 94, and there's a quick trip up the road too if you want to spend the night. On YouTube, fellow owner-operators and truck drivers, SFI lessees, and Schneider independent contractors. Hope everybody's doing good out there. God bless America. God bless Ukraine. After the personal things the last couple of weeks, I just thought I would say on the business side, I've been out for 2 weeks exactly tomorrow, but I'm going home today. So, we're just going to look at it that way. It was Wednesday, the 23rd till today, and I'll be home this evening. So in that amount of time, done $16,000. So we're going to show you how I did that, and obviously rates maybe have a little something to do with it. It was a lot of miles though, but I've had one reset, and I've got 4 hours left on my 70 now to get me home. So as soon as they decide to unload me, I'm going home, and I'm going to go through the list and show you how I made $16,000, and then I'm going to tell you how I ran so that you too can have these kind of numbers. So if this customer decides they're going to unload me today, we'll be out of here shortly, but I just put it in the door, and now we're going to go through what I did to make that much money inside of 2 weeks with one reset. Which it's a lot of running, and I'll go through those miles with you whenever we get done going through the spreadsheets. But everything starts right here on the screen from Danville, Kentucky, all the way down to Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where I ended the week. So we're going to go through these. Picked up in Danville, went straight to Bay City, Michigan. I didn't deliver till the next morning. You see the miles and the money right there. It's not very good. There was a reason I had to do that, a personal reason. It got me into Michigan. And then I picked up in Coleman and went to Pleasant Prairie. So now the rate comes up a little bit. Not insanely so, but pretty good. And once I get to Pleasant Prairie, I literally pick up 2 miles away from where I delivered, and I go to Cedar Falls, Iowa. And then I picked up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, from there to Toma, Wisconsin. You can see all these loads. My average load weight for that 1 week period was probably about 25,000, so it wasn't bad. But all of my rates were, the lowest rate I had was at $1.40, but there was a reason that I did that. And then you have, look at it, $2.12 a mile, $3.72 a mile, short run, $2.41 a mile, $2.25 a mile. See, we're getting spoiled now. I've had weeks where I've been over $3 a mile average for all miles, but I've got all those different fueling options now too, so I can save money on fuel. I saved over $800 in 2 weeks on fuel using a combination of those cards and mud flap. So when you look at all of that, and you add that together, that's not bad. Let me go down and see the average here. So this is my hub miles, my actual average mile per gallon. My average, right there you see 3,743.5 miles. That's what was on the hub for the week. Okay, that's a lot of miles, guys. That's moving. You can barely do it, but you can do it. There's 575 gallons of fuel. Killed the fuel. It was horrible, but I hauled ass, right? So total shipment revenue right here, average rate per mile, operating cost per mile. Now the reason that operating cost per mile is off, because if it doesn't fuel on Schneider's card, I don't put it on my fuel here. So that's not an accurate representation of what my cost per mile to operate was. I can come up with those numbers later if you want. These are all my fixed cost for all my insurances and blah, blah, blah. So I have a fixed cost of $138.79 a week. So without fuel, this is without the cost of fuel, which was like, I'm going to say, $2,000 in fuel, roughly. So that's $5,970.88 after that fuel comes off. So at Schneider, as a leased-on guy who owns his truck, that's not bad considering what the economy is going through right now, because rates are not keeping up with the cost of fuel yet. They will have to come up, though. See, 55, 79, 62, that's the profit only after you withhold the taxes. So that was my first week out. So remember that number, 79, 70, 88. If you want just revenue, we'll go with 8109. So that's an $8,000 week. You don't get very many of those. Okay? I done touched a button, so I had to move me around. All right. So now we're going to go into this week. All right. We don't want to show those numbers, do we? No, we don't. All right. So look right here. I started my week after ending in Minneapolis. I started in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. And then I went down to Lafayette, Georgia. I wanted to get the heck out of the Northeast. It was just real salty and cold. I went down there. You can see the revenue on that guy was really good. This was right fresh off of a 34. And then when I got to Lafayette, I went back to Calhoun and picked up and went to Scottsville. And then from Scottsville to Bowling Green, it's no distance at all really. And picked up and went to Lebanon, Tennessee. And then I picked up in Mount Juliet. I delivered in Lebanon and then picked up in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Anybody that's around that area with Schneider knows exactly what that is. And if you don't, you ain't running hard enough. And I delivered in Triadelphia. Up in the home state. That's West Virginia Light up there, though. And then from there, I went to Seville, Ohio, and went back to Douglasville, Georgia. Again, you can see the rates this week were much better than the rates last week. Right here, you can see the hub miles. I put those on last night. 474 gallons of fuel. You see how much better my fuel mileage is. Now, do you see where it says hub rate, actual rate per mile is $1.92? That's not correct. And I'll tell you why. We're going off of 2 weeks is what we just told you, right? 2 weeks, period. That's Wednesday the 23rd until today, which is Tuesday the 8th. So that is 14 days. We're doing a 14-day spread. Again, the fuel is not accurate. That's 0.4. Now, you see right here the dispatched miles? That's off Schneider's miles. Right there. Because I'm freaking... Oh, Lord, what did I do here? I did something. I keep touching stuff I don't mean to, guys. Bear with me. See right there? 2,732 miles. Average rate per mile is 250. Scroll over here real quick. My hub mile is 35.52 and 4 cents. I reset my hub every Monday midnight to into Tuesday. Right there at that 0-100 line, because that's how I do it. I do it from Monday midnight, from Tuesday in the morning midnight to Monday night midnight. And that gives you an exact 1 week hub. That's what I do. Okay? Some people might think that's stupid, but that's what I do. So now you need to add in this week, which is the load I'm currently on. So I went from, screw that up. I went from Douglasville, Georgia, over to Huntsville, Alabama, and picked up. And I'm sitting in Washington Courthouse, waiting on these clowns to unload me right now. $1,455.55. That's $2.24 a mile. Now, I'm doing this on my last day of 14 days. So what does that tell you? See, I don't have any hub miles. All the miles I drove to get here, except for the 2.5 miles from the truck stop, are on last week's settlement. And you can see right here, by the time I get home, if I have my deadhead, let's just do that real quick. Let's just guesstimate. So we're going to say I'm probably 165 miles from the house. That's an average rate of 882 per mile. So what you're going to do is add those to this settlement here, because there's not going to be anything else on it, to the last settlement, and that'll give you the true average. So things like that, they spread out and they average out. So I don't worry about it. But if you add that, how much money was on the last week one? Let me see here. All right, so I got to keep that check mark clear, guys. All right, so let's add those two things. Okay, look, 66, 94, 44. All right, 66 plus 1455.55. What is that? 76. It's over $8,000. So there you go. $16,000, 14 days, guys. Revenue, not take home. Let's be clear. Revenue, $16,000 in 14 days. So having said all of that stuff, I'm going to go eat me a couple bologna sandwiches, because bologna sandwiches are pretty daggone good. And if you don't like them, we can't be friends. But having said all that, if you keep the wheels turning and you run hard and you book just right and don't be scared to run up against your 70, I mean, plan ahead. But if you're not scared of that stuff, man, you can make all kinds of money. Just don't sit there. And, you know, like I said, that last week, think about that. That's 3,700 miles and 3,400 miles. By the time I get home, it's going to be about 3,600 miles on this week. So how many miles is that? That's 7,000 miles in 2 weeks, in 14 days. Like legit 2 weeks, 14 days. 7,000 miles roughly. And $16,000. So that's over $2 a mile average. Now, I'm not a Superman, but I think I'm pretty good at what I do. So if you run hard and you want to make that kind of money, I can tell you how to do it my way. You need to figure out how to do it your way. But if you want any pointers from me about that, that's how I run my business. Is I just run it into the ground until I go home, and now I can go home and I ain't got to worry about nothing for a solid week. I'm going to spend a lot of time with the wife. We got a couple things to do around the house, but it's fun to do it together. I might even crack out the grill in memory of Dad, because Dad loved a good cookout. I don't know how many hot dogs he'd eat in a sitting. It wasn't he wasn't a big eater, but Dad loved a hot dog, a cold beer, and a fire at night, man. So we're probably going to do some of that. And in the meantime, keep her upright in between the lines. I hope you guys are going to get some of this good money while the getting's good. Pray for the Ukraine. Pray for the rest of the world, because we have no idea how this is going to go. But in the meantime, God bless, guys, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Like a bullet.